Hello, today is 3/25 of 26, and I am here with a video of what I eat in a day on my keto journey. If you're new here, my name is Christy. I changed my diet to a high protein, moderate fat, low carb diet in April of 2024. It is currently just after midnight. I am making a dish that I plan to eat later today. I'm not sure if it's going to be my lunch or my dinner, but I wanted to record making it. So it's going to be a chicken wrap. I'm basing it off of a recipe that I've made before I changed my diet. So the recipe calls for sour cream. I'm going to use some Okios triple zero. No, it's not triple zero. Okios Pro plain Greek yogurt, which is just something that I do. I replace sour cream in a lot of um, recipes, or like if I use it in chili or whatever, I replace it with my plain yogurt. And then I'm going to add a bit of salsa. Probably that much, I think. Give this a mix around. And then the recipe calls for a number of seasonings. You know what? I think I'm going to want a little more salsa in here. Um, It calls for a number of seasonings. I just kind of, I don't know, I'm a little too lazy to add all of those seasonings to it. But I do really like cumin. So I think I'm going to add some cumin and maybe some oregano. And I think that's probably about it for the seasonings. Although I do probably want to add a bit of salt and pepper. Oh, I should say I'm using canned chicken. I just opened a can of a large can. I don't know how many ounces it is, but it's a large can of chicken, and I can't find my spoon, so I'm going to use this. I put in probably a quarter teaspoon of salt and a bit of pepper. I'm going to grab my cumin. I really enjoy cumin a lot, so I want to be sure to add some in, not too much though. And then, like I said, I think some oregano. All right, I think that's probably going to be good. And then when I have this, like I said, I'm going to have it in a wrap. I'll use 11 fresh low carb wrap. And I'm going to add some chips to it too. So I've got some Quest brand like taco chips. I'm going to add those to my wrap, but I'll show you building it later. It is a little after 9, and I am getting ready to have my first meal of the day. So I'm going to make myself some coffee. I'll use 1 cup of Fairlife whole milk, a serving of whey isolate protein powder, and a tablespoon of MCT oil. I'm not using collagen because I do plan to have a cake later today that's made with beef protein powder. So I'll get my collagen in that way. I have decided to try the banana English muffin recipe that I've tried before. It's a mug recipe. I'll link to that in the description below. But I've decided that I want to try and make it into pancakes because what happens is I cook it in the microwave and then I end up toasting it. And I'm just wondering if I can kind of like minimize my steps by kind of like toasting it, making it into a pancake, uh, rather than having to take the 2 steps of microwaving it and then toasting it. So I think I'm gonna be making 3, well, it's actually 6 servings. The recipe is 2 servings, but I use the whole recipe as a serving. So for me, it's gonna be 3 servings. So I have 1 whole banana in here, and that's really why I'm doing it, is because I have this banana I need to use up. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna need 3 eggs for that. And I am also gonna make another change to the original recipe. It calls for 2 tablespoons of almond flour. I'm going to replace it with 2 teaspoons of coconut flour. I like that because it's less calories. I also don't use my coconut flour as much. And so like it's a way to kind of be using that also instead of like always using my almond flour. I'm going to add a quarter teaspoon of salt. The recipe calls for a pinch per, you know, recipe. So I'm going to add a quarter teaspoon, and then I'm going to add it's actually going to be 6 teaspoons of coconut flour because I'm multiplying the recipe. So that's 2 tablespoons. There are 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon, and I need 6 teaspoons. And I need a quarter cup plus 2 tablespoons of cottage cheese. I like to use Good Culture brand. I just find that it is the best for like baking or melting into a recipe. For some reason, it's just better. So there's my quarter cup, and then I need 2 tablespoons. And I need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So I'm using my half teaspoon measuring spoon 3 times. And then I'm going to get this blended together, and I'm going to allow it to rest for a couple of minutes because coconut flour does absorb so much, just to make sure that the batter is the consistency that I want it. Okay, so I didn't need to add any like liquid to it. It did seem to be okay. I've got my pancakes going here. They're going to be a little funny. I've never actually been very good at making pancakes, so it's kind of funny that I'm making them. And I think I will get 6 pancakes. So that will be 2 pancakes per serving. So that'll be nice. And it does look like they are cooking appropriately. I've got some bubbles starting to come up here. It might be a little early. Yeah, it's just a little early, but I think this might actually work. I've got my first batch done. Let's give them a try. Yeah, those are really, really good. They've got a nice banana flavor to them. Like, I don't even need any syrup. This is great. I mean, sort of. Like, it is one less step of like between the microwaving and then toasting, but they're also really hard to make. So, not sure that I'll like do this again, but they did turn out well. It is 12:30 and I am ready to have my lunch. I have my chicken salad that I made. I topped it with half of an avocado, some crushed up, which you can't see the brand. I'm pretty sure it's Quest. Protein chips, about 10 of them, I think. It was just a few that was left in the bottom of the bag. Some chopped up tomatoes and a little bit of lettuce. And then I'm also going to have an Okios 000 yogurt and some blackberries. The salad is amazing. It is 6:30 and I am ready for my last meal of the day. So I have here some leftover lasagna soup. I didn't record making it, but I will link to the recipe in the description below. I topped it with about a tablespoon of shredded Parmesan and a couple tablespoons of some cottage cheese. And then I have a cake here. I have made this cake several times. But last night I decided to make it without the sweetener on it, or in it, I should say, and instead decided to top it with this Chalk Zero caramel sauce. My thought was that the sauce, like I poured the sauce on top after the cake was made while it was still warm. And my thought was that it would kind of like settle into the cake and sweeten the cake, but it really just sat on top. And so it's just okay. I did add some whipped cream to the top to make it a bit better, and it is better with that. But I won't do that again. Although I did think that like swirling some into the cake mix, like before I bake it, might be kind of fun. So that might be my next experiment. I really tried to eat at maintenance today. I had a protein bar and a beef stick. I had to take my son to a hockey game. So I took those with me this evening after my meal because I knew I was going to be a little short and I still ended up even shorter than I thought that I would. So, I mean, I did my best. I'm not hungry. I will just, kind of continue to listen to my body and make sure that I'm fueling it and try to get it maintenance tomorrow. So I ended up with about 2,200 calories. My protein is 224. My net carbs are 65 and my fat is 98. The carbs are higher because I had that lasagna soup, which is higher in carbs, and my protein bar was actually a little high in carbs too. I think it had like 8 or 10 net carbs in it. So it wasn't the highest quality protein bar, but I just wanted to get it used up so that it was like I didn't have it sitting around anymore. I ended up in a 356 calorie deficit. I'll try again tomorrow.